Welcome to A View from the Summit, where we explore the unique relationships between animals and humans, whether it's an Olympic partner or couch buddy, a working companion or unique pet, a world champion or someone you think the world of. Join us for a look at animals in our lives. Brought to you by Summit Animal Health. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of View from the Summit. WonderRidge Equine Sanctuary. Sounds pretty cool. It's and it is, but you know, it's funny when somebody starts to do something, and the something that they start ends up affecting them more and changing them more than what they had even imagined. But we'll get into that in a minute before I knock my microphone over again. Ouch, that hurt. Anyway, I get to introduce now my co-host, the original prairie woman, way up north there where there's probably still snow, but it's always fun because she's also a goat herder, an entrepreneur, a world-renowned teacher and educator. Robin Benson, what's going on up there on the ranch today?
Well, I'm going to leave the goat herding to my daughter, who loves it. But the cows are our main deal. And it's like literally this any second. My daughter, we homeschool, and she can't even focus today because we have our first two that are about to have their babies. We raise grass-fed beef, and it's calving season, or almost. But with the eclipse going on today and all the different stuff happening with the weather, we're guaranteed or almost guaranteed to have some babies a little bit early. So that's pretty exciting. We love when those new babies come. And we have the cattle, we have the horses, we have the goats, the chickens, the feral kids, all of it. And that brings us to this, because this show is really about people's relationship with animals, which we do every day. And we love seeing the changes. What we have seen is over, now several dozen episodes. I think we're at episode 36, which is really exciting. Movie stars, gold medalists, world champions, world performers, rescue people, school teachers, you name it, big cat lovers, alligators. I mean, it's so diverse, but there's a unifying connection, and that's animals, and animals having a powerful impact, not only on the individuals that we have on the show, but through those individuals and as a team to a greater community. And the stories that we've heard and we're going to hear today, I can't wait. It's really exciting, are just amazing. It touches our hearts, and that's why we're here. So Steve, I could go on all day. It's my favorite thing to talk about, animals, but what do
Well, I met Julie and Noah a couple of years ago. They had done an extraordinary thing or had an extraordinary experience. So welcome, Julie, welcome, Noah, to the show. I want you to, if you would, tell us briefly. They rescue horses in unique situations, and this was truly a unique situation. Could you tell us about your rescue of Dakota?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having us on and talking about it. Julie kind of kicked this off, so I guess I'll let her tell the story up to the point where we actually left in the truck to go get her in Ohio, and that blizzard we talked about and that ice storm. But Jules, you tell the story. We went to the auction there in Iowa and first saw Dakota.
So Noah and I, as rescuers, started going into the auction houses. There's a big one close to us in Kelowna, Iowa, and it happens every month. Lots and lots and lots of horses go through there. And so we had managed to fundraise a little money. A girl that we knew had a relative die. She wanted us to purchase a horse in the relative's name and keep it on the sanctuary as her way of remembering her grandfather. So Noah and I took our little pile of money and we went to the auction, all excited. And we got down there, and it was a rough one. I'm not an auction person personally. I hate them. They're not fun for me. The animals always seem terrified and nervous and scared and upset, and that's just really hard for me. And you watch the people sort of mistreat them as they're pushing them through, and it just kicks you in the gut, Anyway, we take them walking through and we saw this really pretty little spotted horse and we were like, oh, she's really pretty, but someone will grab her. We don't need to worry about her. We're going to go over here and look at this really old paint who is on the edge of skinny. And she had been left at the auction house for about 2 weeks from a draft sale. So we ended up getting her, and we were writing down all the numbers and keeping track of what horses went for. And I decided I needed a break. We were sitting in this little room and the auction was getting ready to take off. And I told him, I got to get out of here. I'm just going to go take a quick more walk through and make sure we didn't miss any horses that I might be interested in. And he said, okay. And I walked through and I walked around the back, and they direct loaded some horses from one big trailer to another big trailer, which generally means that's just meat market horses, and made me angry. And there's signs everywhere that say, don't photograph, no photographs, no video. And I decided I'm feeling a little cheeky today. So I snapped a quick photo of just a group of horses. And I said, auction starts in 5 minutes. We think we found the one we're going to bid on. Something else to the effect of, wish us luck. And I went in and I sat down and we sat through the auction. It lasted about 3 hours, got our horse, walked outside, and it's a concrete building, concrete block building. As soon as I stepped outside, my phone just went crazy. It was ding, 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 ding. And I was like, what is going on? So I looked down, and it's a girl who had spotted a horse in the photograph that we had taken. And it was a horse that had been sold that was not supposed to be sold on a contract. She had leased the horse to someone and they sold it without letting her know. And anyway, it was her horse. And she said, did you buy that horse? And I said, no, I'm sorry, we didn't. We got a different horse. And she said, do you know who bought it? And I said, no, I don't. And then she told me the story. And of course, immediately my heart just sank. I felt so helpless and sad for her. And so we went to work. We loaded our horse, RJ, and we headed home. And over the course of the next few days, she and I chatted back and forth, and I decided I was going to see if I could find her, because the auction pipeline generally works in one way. Horses get picked up here, they get transported to the next auction, they get resold, they get transported, they get resold. Anyway, we happened to locate her in Ohio about 3 days later. And so I talked it over with Noah, and I said, look, this is a huge thing. We could really make a difference for this girl and her horse. What do you think we should do? And he said, let's put up a fundraiser and see what happens. If we don't make enough money, we won't go. But if we do, we will. And we managed to make $3,600. And so Noah and my daughter loaded up into our sad old Ford truck that is broke down and half making it. And they drove to Ohio. And
yeah, I guess that's kind of how I take off, huh? So like Julie said, we loaded up my daughter and Lyra and I, and we used my friend's points to buy our hotel room over there, because we didn't have the cash for both, to be honest. So it was fuel for the truck. And like Julie said, we got an old diesel. It's got 300,000 miles on it, an old dually. And we got a stock combo trailer, nothing fancy. So in February, in ice storm, we loaded up. Me and Lyra headed over and got to Ohio. And we actually got there so late. They actually canceled our hotel room. So we're there at 2 in the morning in Ohio. And no hotel. And I go in there and I just beg the guy. I'm like, hey, look, I called. It's ever going to be late. I really need a place to sleep for we're here 5 hours. And then we're off. So they made it work. We got the room, got to the auction. And it was by far not the worst auction house I've been to, the one in Ohio. It really wasn't. Horses had hay. They had water, which is better than 80% of them we go to in general. But Dakota was pretty beat up. Something happened on the trailer between Kelowna and Ohio. She was on the trailer allegedly with an aggressive horse. I think we had 26 wounds, 30 wounds, something. She was bleeding when they rode her to the ring from the wounds that she received on the transport. Literally, she went to auction on Tuesday, Monday in Kelowna, and I think it was Friday or Saturday. We were in Ohio buying her back. So it was not much time had gone by, but she was in pretty rough shape. So anyway, and per the norm, it was pretty well advertised on social media that we were coming, so they knew we were coming, so they ran us up on the bidding. And we paid probably way too much for her.
She was $800 because we wrote it down at the auction in Kelowna, and we paid $3,700 for her at the auction in Ohio.
No, she's a finished barrel horse. She's fancy broke, all those kinds of things. But by all means, she's like, think about Dakota. She would call it in between horse. She's not small, not a pony. She's not like a 15 or 16 hand horse either. She's barely 14 hand horse. So she's kind of that step up horse. Now she's fast, but not like, big time barrel race competition fast. So, and we got her, I actually hauled another horse for another rescue back with us. That wound up having a bunch of health problems. That's another story. But on the way back, we almost got in an accident. It was crazy. Like on the way there, a gal that was drunk about 11 o'clock in the morning somewhere in Ohio. We got stopped to get gas, and I was stopped pulling out of the gas station. And this gal tried to park her RAV4 in my trailer. Like we were sitting there, she just hammered us. I'm like, I was like, what happened? There was nobody in the parking lot. It's the middle of the night. And I get out, and this gal's obviously intoxicated.
Why me? Where's the
Yeah,
target?
and I'm like, I got
Meet me
places to
here.
be. I've got
Right.
time for this 3 hour delay is not in the time right now. I looked at the trailer and I'm like, I can fix it. And she's like, oh, I'm really sorry. The front of her car wasn't real bad, but it was dented up pretty good. I'm like, ma'am, where you live? And she's like a block and a half over there in my apartment. And I'm like, you just need to drive home right now. So she's like, before the cops come, before I get angry, just get in your car and just go, So she did, and we took off. And like you kind of shared earlier, we wound up getting a little bit of backwoods engineering where we use the tow strap and the tow chain to allegedly strap it to a pylon around a bank ATM machine, and then yank the gate of the trailer back out because it wouldn't open and close. It was stuck shut. So I was like, I can't load horses if I can't get the trailer door open. And it was bent in so far. It's a single door trailer that we couldn't get it open. So we yanked it back out, made it work. I haven't touched it since then, so it's still working.
So this is just one example, and an extraordinary
Yes, sir.
example of what you do
Mm-hmm.
to rescue these horses. Now, this is a big commitment. I mean, it's a huge commitment. So Noah, when you started out, you met Julie, and obviously, were you a horse person? Were you a rescue person? Who were you?
I was probably the furthest thing from a horse person you could picture at that point in my life, Steve, to be honest.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I was born in Los Angeles, California. I drove lowriders, was president or vice president of a lowrider custom car club in the Pacific Northwest for about 10 years. Never had anything larger than a dog until 3 years ago. So no livestock in Noah's past before 3 years ago. So yeah, it was totally foreign to me from being that. People thought we were crazy, like absolutely insane. Like, what do you mean you got no experience with horses and you're loading auction horses? You know what I mean? Like, you've seen the pictures of horses kicking themselves over backwards and just being insane, trying to get a horse on a trailer, much less through an auction ring. So I don't know. I think it's just something we can go over the whys and the whats, but something I just kind of took to, something that's in my blood, so to speak.
Well, now Noah is it's funny because Noah acts like he has no horses in his background, but his uncle was actually a
trainer and a jockey in Chicago for quite some time in the 70s. So I never met him. He passed away before I was born, but I guess to an extent you can say it's kind of in the blood.
Yeah. But
So
how has this changed you from like 4 years ago? If you looked at you or got to talk to you, and the 4 years ago guy got to talk to you now, how different would that be?
180 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
And we have a son with autism, so we've always tried to help people less fortunate. It's something I've always kind of been interested in and been a part of my life. Didn't grow up with much when I was younger. I was fortunate I was older. My parents did better, but we were pretty poor when we were young. We didn't have a lot. So helping people has always been a big thing. As far as it's made me a better man, it's made me a better father, taught things to me about myself. Honestly, I probably would have never found out otherwise working with horses.
So tell us a story about the early days of working with horses that you started, an example of a story that you started to feel a shift, like this is kind of something I need to be more part of. Like,
yeah, it'd be Toronto. So what got us into this, actually the same thing got us into the rescue. So my wife had a couple horses that she got from another rescue over towards Chicago. And I was like, baby, we've had this horse for like 6 months. You guys ain't doing nothing with them. But there's only 2 at that point. They're just eating hay and eating grass and wasting our time. You're going to ride them or they're gone. And that was pretty much the conversation Julie and I had. And now, 40 some horses later, but that's another story.
So initially what happened was I had a real rough go of it in my childhood, real bad, and a real bad second marriage. My first marriage wasn't great. My second marriage was way worse. And I had developed CPTSD. as just a coping mechanism for my crazy life. And it'd been an ongoing problem for me most of my life. I have 30-year-old children, and then we have teenagers currently at home now. So there's 4 of them. And it had just been an ongoing struggle. And I'd always wanted a paint horse, wanted one my whole life. And there was this absolutely gorgeous paint horse that somebody was giving away for free. It just needed a good home. And I went to Noah, and we had these 2 horses we weren't riding. And he told me, come August, if you're not riding those horses, Julie, they're gone. And I was like, okay, can I have one more? And he's like, are you crazy? And I said,
I hear
yes.
what I just said.
Yeah,
But you heard it.
I heard you. I just don't listen well. And I said, I always wanted this horse. I've always wanted a horse just like this. This girl I knew in high school had one. Please just let me have this horse. It's not going to cost a lot extra. I'll even get a job making donuts at Casey's. And he said, well, I can't argue with that. If you're willing to go to work, I will let you have this extra horse. But Julie, I'm serious. If you're not going to ride the other 2, you got to get rid of them. I said, okay. By the way, they still live with us. Well, one of them passed away, but the other one still lives with us. So Toronto came and he just fixed me. I was on a lot of medication. I was real broken. I was real scared all the time and sad and overwhelmed, and spending a couple hours a day with that horse just tripped a little switch inside my brain. And I started to feel a little better, and then a little better, and then a little better. And then I started to take less of my medication. And I went to my doctor and I said, I'm not taking as much of my meds. Is it okay if I cut them back? And they said, yes, absolutely. I ended up cutting it down completely. And now I'm not on any meds. And, but unfortunately, Toronto, after a couple months of having him, he developed cancer and he died very suddenly, about 2 weeks. And I was doing so good. I was on this great spot. And my poor husband, who has known me as an emotional wreck most of my life, was like, my wife's going to lose her mind. She's going to lose her mind. So we got to go buy another rescue horse so that she doesn't freak out. And so he set up a little auction for me, fundraiser for the auction. And we went to the auction and we didn't have very much money and we didn't get a horse. And I was very sad. And we were driving home from the auction and some other people that we had met called up and they said, hey, that horse that I bought, that Leopard Appaloosa, you want him? I paid $500 for him. You can have him. And I said, heck yeah, I want him. So we went and they dropped him off to us, and he was our first rescue that we did after Toronto died. His name is Rowan. He is a one-bald stallion.
He's a Crip stallion.
But he had no testicles descended when we got him, and he was in a pen with mares and geldings, and so we thought he was a gelding. He was marked on his form that he was a mare, which, come on, not even close.
Obviously not that.
And so about 3.5 weeks of great food, and all of a sudden there was one giant dangling ball between his legs. And now we had a stallion that we did not plan on. And thus began the crazy adventure of WonderRidge. We decided we should become a sanctuary and start saving more horses, try to find them better homes, do what we could to give them a great life. And now we've saved 33. So
yeah, but I guess to directly answer your question, for me, the catalyst of the change was Tacoma or Toronto, excuse me. Watching what he could do with my wife and the changes I made. Like I said, Julie said, we've been tried every medication, every therapist, everything you could possibly think of to help her. And the couple months with that horse helped my wife more than anything did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That is a phenomenal story. I mean,
Yeah.
and again, who would have thought that horse, I mean, beyond medical science and all that, could do what couldn't be done by humans.
Yeah.
Well, he was just beautiful, and he had a beautiful spirit. And I thought, gosh, people really let him down. He was starved. He was at a body condition score of 1 when we got him. And that was after he'd been at a rescue for 6 weeks. We didn't know about the cancer. The rescue didn't know about the cancer. And had he been healthy, he probably would have developed into a great riding partner for me, or a really good buddy. I didn't really care about riding. I'd lay down in the field and hold on to his lead rope and let him eat, and he'd just eat all the grass all the way around my body. I never felt scared. I never felt worried. I never felt like he was going to do anything to me other than just love me. Occasionally he might sniff me and then give me a look like, what are you doing laying there? Just move over. I want that grass underneath your booty.
You're
But
on the
I have
good
a lot
grass.
of photos. Yeah, I have a lot of photos taken that Noah took of me laying down in the grass, and he's standing next to me just eating, and I'm smiling at him. It was just incredibly meaningful to have something so large that had been so mistreated by the people that he loved be so open to receiving love from someone new taught me that it was okay for me to feel that way too. It taught me that sometimes people mistreat you that are supposed to love you, and that's okay, because sometimes you find the people that love you more. Like Noah, I was lucky to find Noah. We have a great life, and I'm very blessed, and he's a wonderful husband. But even his love couldn't fix that for me. It was something about that big giant horse and just his loving kindness that just made the hugest difference. And so that was it. We were like, we could help people with horses. You know, we could make a difference for people with horses. We could do something like this. So.
And because obviously me not having that experience growing up or those opportunities, right, to learn from horses, so we'll call it that, because I really believe that's what it is. It's a symbiotic relationship that way. I think experiencing that as a 40-year-old man was something I never thought would happen, to be honest. So it's zero interaction with horses. I rode them as a kid, like your buddy's house has a ranch, has a couple of horses. You get on some dead broke old nag and plop around the field or something with no concerns in the world. You know what I mean? But that was about the extent of my interaction with anything larger on the livestock side. But no, I can say it changed my life.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. So you rescued these horses.
Yes, ma'am.
And you keep them at so it's a sanctuary. You get the horses and you keep them at your house. And then do people come to connect with them, or do you have a therapy aspect at your sanctuary?
So yes and no. Officially nothing with the therapy part of it. We're not licensed for that. It's fairly expensive. We just don't have the cash flow to do it. But yeah, we've had lots of people out to the house. So the sanctuary is where our home is. Literally the barn. I built the barn. It started as a 2-stall run-in, and now it's a 10-stall barn. So literally, me and Jules built the whole thing, from framing, roofing, siding, all the groundwork. We did it all. Most of it by hand, but that's another story. That's crazy. But anyway, yes, we've had like people with disabilities come out. Julie's had friends come out. We bring our ponies into the farmers market in town and let people take pictures with the ponies. We paint them up like, rainbow bright ponies and stuff like that. And let kids and adults, whoever wants, take pictures for free. We don't charge for it. It's just by donation. And then we've done some stuff. We take the ponies in nursing homes, things of that nature. We've had birthday parties with the horses.
We started an anti-bullying program last fall, but it didn't really take off, which was a bummer. But you use the pony as a way to teach kids about bullying and why it's wrong.
I'll just say whoa to bullying. Yeah. So
just say whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Great. That's good. We help one another is what WOA stands for. It's a national program that you got to buy into and stuff. Some gals started a while back, and there's a couple dozen across the US that do it. So that's a pretty cool program. And it's meant for elementary school for relatable too, you know what I mean? Then we also partnered with Kirk Smalley, a guy who runs a place called Stand for the Silent, who's an anti-bullying and suicide awareness organization. And we've partnered with him a little bit and been lucky enough to do some stuff with him, which has been great.
And
That's incredible.
all this from a man 3 years ago, 4 years ago that,
Yeah, nothing to do with horses, sir, at all. You know what I mean? In all honesty. And like I said, I'm a research guy, you know what I mean? I'll do my research before. Now, nothing replaces hands-on. You can read lots of books on how to train horses and, how to do things with horses. But until you get your hands and you're in front of, 1,000-pound plus or minus animal, it's a different experience than reading about it, right? But it's just coach. Just as coach. But I've been bit, I've been kicked, I've been, run down and knocked over, you name it, dealing with the horses we deal with, it's happened.
A lot of that was our
part of
fault.
my own ignorance. Yeah, I put myself in positions I absolutely 100% should not have been in. And part of that just because not knowing the science to read, I think we'd be animal alchemy, talking to animals, whether you believe in that or not. I think you can read the signs from a horse or an animal because they do have, like people have micro expressions. Horses have the same thing. They really do. Yeah, they got tells. And if you're in a bad spot once you know what to look for.
Getting out of the bad spot's the important part.
Yeah, they'll definitely get your attention if you stray at all or are distracted and you're not.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You've
been around animals your whole life. Yeah, very well. Yeah.
I grew up riding and training and competing with horses. I used to be, it's funny hearing your stories about the kids in the field, or just, I used to be a riding instructor and camp, I did all it. So it's like making me go like, oh yes, I know. And then I see you back in my program, either freaked out or with a problem horse, but it's so true. And unfortunately the horses you're getting from these programs, from the rescue or auction, are often reject, for lack of a better term, from programs like that. And knowing what I know about horses, it's a people problem, not a horse problem, right? So what are you seeing? Like, tell us a story about one of your rescues that really showed you, because where the horse told you something about where they had been or what they'd been going through, and how you learned from that for other ways to look for horses and help horses. Because I've experienced it. I know other people, they talk and they tell you. And I always used to tell people bringing me horses for training, they'd give me this long list of what they had done and what the horse had done. I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. The horse is going to tell me everything. It's good. I'll know as soon as I start working with the horse what they've been taught and what they haven't. But tell us an example of a horse that you have gotten in. You said 40 horses now, or 35, that really showed you how, they came from a situation and how they had changed, and how you bonded with them.
Well, I think to an extent it's probably true of most of them becoming, like you said, we kind of taken like the old forgotten and beautiful, we call it, right? The broken, sad cases that nobody else wants. So like the ones we get are the ones like the other rescues won't mess with, because they just know they can't resell them, right? They're not rideable, or they're just absolute, nut jobs from some human messing them up. Which 99% of the time, you're right. That's what it is.
It's something
There's something physically wrong with the horse. Neurologically, have a tumor, or some kind of discomfort, a gut problem, whatever it may be, cancer that's causing them to act aggressive or wild or crazy. Normally, it's a people problem.
So RJ, the horse that we got at the auction where we first spotted Dakota, her name is Roger. She was supposed to be a boy horse, but I didn't find any good boy horses that day.
All the gelding sold high. The mares didn't go high that day.
We got a mare and we named her Roger. So RJ at the auction was perfect. I got in the pen with her. I rubbed her all down. I lifted all 4 of her feet. I walked her around. I put her on a lead rope. I laid across her back just to see if I thought maybe she'd been ridden before. I did everything that I watched other people do, or people had told me to do, or stuff that I had learned on my own. She seemed perfectly happy. We loaded her up in the trailer, zero problem.
Like literally, like I didn't want to wait for everybody loading at the auction, so I walked her out past the trailers over to our trailer and loaded her in the parking lot. I'm like, she's gonna be fine. Everybody's like, you're crazy. I'm like, she's gonna be all right. She loaded fine. But as soon as we got her on the trailer and she realized the other horse in the stall wasn't coming with her, was like you flipped a switch. Whatever horse that was in there, whether she came to the auction with that horse or bonded with that horse, because they were at the auction for 2 weeks alone, because there was a sale they didn't sell for, so they sat till the next auction. And we loaded her in the trailer. When she called out for her partner, and that there was no call back, like, I'm not loading with you, she lost her mind. Like purely calm the whole way home, kicked the crap out of the trailer, like calling crazy the whole time. Got her in the quarantine pen, got a nice bucket of Pro Force senior grains. All right, sweetie, we're gonna give you a treat. She tried to strike at me.
She tried to kick me like 5 times.
Julie like 5 times. And I got some videos on our face when we brought her home. And I know it's a tear. Horses don't cry. I know there's an infection, but like her eyes look so scared.
She would cry, like real tears. People tell you horses don't cry. That's a lie. That horse cried for a month. It cried weepy tears. Didn't matter if we put drops in her eyes. Didn't matter if we cleaned them every day. Big tracks of weepy tears down her face. And she was so scared. Yeah. And as we worked with her slowly, we realized that most of her stuff was fear-based. We were kind of worried because, we bit off a lot more than we thought we could chew. And I was like, this was not a good choice. I am so sorry. What are we going to do now? Like, I called all my horse friends. Like, I'm in a problem. Help me. We had a lady up north that said, bring her here. I'll train her for a month for you, Julie. Let's see if we can't fix her up for you. But by the end of a couple of weeks, she had started to realize that things were going to be okay there. There was no danger. She was alone. She didn't have a friend, and she was sad about that. But we got Dakota there, and then her and Dakota kind of buddied up, and then everything was better. It got a little better and a little better and a little better incrementally. But it is obvious that whatever trauma that poor horse endured was deep and cutting, because she's still scared of other horses, scared of people, scared. She's a scared horse.
You can tell, like, even just approaching a horse, how you can do it, you know, hands closed, hands open makes a difference, all those kinds of things. Whether you go to pet horse up by the head and they instantly shy away if your hand is closed, that tells you
A lot about
that
abuse.
horse has gotten beaten. You know what I mean? Especially like every time and their ears are pinned and they're trying to run away from you every time you go to pet them. Somebody did something wrong. You know what I mean? And like you said, most time it starts, nobody would tell you about the horse. You got to start at ground one, start with your groundwork and developing that trust and then work backward or forward from there. But with RJ, I think it was super evident, yeah, that she'd been beaten, abused, starved, all those kinds of things, because she showed, you know, every marking of that food aggression, herd aggression, all those kinds of things.
So I have to ask you, I mean, I'm a horse person through and through. I've grown up with them. They're in my blood. They like, it's part of our life. We use horses to work cattle. I mean,
Yeah.
we rodeo. I mean, there's 6 of them out there playing, eating. But how do you handle the heavy stuff? Like, what do you guys do amongst yourselves or with your friends, or go out and talk to the horses? Or how do you deal with the fact that because you're adopting and rescuing the old ones and the dejected and the ones no one else wants, you're going to get some that are so skinny they're not going to live. You're going to get some that just have cancers or something that is going on that isn't fixable. How do you deal with that? Because you're going into that group. There's a lot of those out there. And obviously you guys' hearts are as bigger than the horses. And so what's your system? Or, I mean, it's challenging, right? That's the hard part that nobody talks about. And I want people to hear that part, because people like you doing rescue, and I was talking to another person last week who said rescues are overwhelmed right now. People are running out of money. People wait too long to sell their horse. So the horse is so starving or so unhealthy that whatever the reason. But I want people to hear the Paul Harvey, the rest of the story behind rescue, because you're doing great work. You're rehabbing these horses to the best of your ability. You're connecting. It's filling your heart. You're connecting with other people. But how do you handle the ugly? Like you already said, Julie, the sale barn situation isn't the nicest, but that's just part of it. You bring a horse home that's so starving, you rehab them and you get them back. But what if they're too starving? You know, how do you deal with it?
We have a perfect example of that, actually.
So Tacoma is probably a great example of that. So about a year after Toronto died,
Yep.
it was not long after we got Dakota and RJ actually. I decided that for our anniversary, I was going to pull Julie another medicine hat paint. So Toronto was a medicine hat paint. I searched the nation, all the kill lot pages, and I hate doing business with those guys. But you just search and search and search. Medicine hat paint is kind of hard to come by. It's, you know, whatever reason, people love them or they hate them. So I found one at a lot down in Louisiana. Very prolific kill buyer. I'm not going to say names, it doesn't matter. Knew they ran the lot. But at the same time, horse was well priced, older, super broke, beautiful boy. Close enough to Toronto, though he was close, but not where it was like a replacement horse for him, for my wife, you know? So called up the lot, asked the questions that you need to ask for the pictures I should have asked for. Didn't realize they never sent me a picture of the right eye of the horse. Didn't think about it at the time. It was in Louisiana, so it's a cruise from where we are. It's about 10 hours one way to where that lot was. So we hired a shipper that was really, really well recommended, and she was fantastic. A gal named Megan Gray, who doesn't haul anymore, but used to haul a lot of dirty horses or auction horses, as we call them. So paid her to go down to get the horse, and she gave us a call and said, "No, we got a problem." I said, "What's up, Megan?" She's like, "Well, either A, this horse has cancer, or B, that's the worst blowout from not choke, but
Yeah, you're talking about the
strangles that I've ever seen in an eye." I was like, "Great." Like, send me a picture. She sent us a picture, and I'm just like, at this point, the horse is supposed to be my wife's, you know what I mean? So I'm like, "Baby, what do you want to do?" You know, this. So I called the guy that ran the lot, and I'm like, "Hey, I don't know how you do business, bud. This ain't how I do business. I'm not going to try and sell somebody a horse full of cancer and not be honest with it. I understand you run a kill lot, but I don't appreciate it." He's like, "Well, you can bring the horse back, and I'll shoot it behind the barn."
Yeah, that's your option.
He's like, "I know you run a rescue." I said, "You know, I'm not going to do that." You know what I mean? So anyway, we had him vetted. Vet confirmed, yeah, he's got cancer. We could bring him over to University, Texas A&M. to have him looked at, but he's like, honestly,
Too late.
it's too late. So he let it go too long. So here's a horse, no fault of his own. If had been taken care of, you know, the very, very minor, he got white eyes and nobody tattooed his eyes or anything. So he had a little cancer in his eye and it just festered. And basically engulfed his whole eye socket is what it come down to. So we got him up here.
Well,
Supposed to be,
when they took him to the barn where he was being stored, they found more cancer in his butt. They were brushing him out and lifted up his tail, and he just had this huge amalgamation of cancer. So we paid $3,000 to have a horse shipped to Illinois.
between the purchase and the shipping of the horse and the vetting down there, and because they can't ship them without, you know, Hell Coggins, all that kind of stuff. So he had to be quarantined down there before he could come up. So we paid the quarantine and everything and brought him up. And honestly, it was probably just a bit much for Julie, too reminiscent of Toronto.
It killed me. He got off the truck and he looked exactly like Toronto, but with this big swollen eye. And he was the sweetest, kindest, most wonderful horse in the world. Just wanted to be in your lap and cuddle you and hug you and love you. He would stand for hours with his head over your shoulder and just squeeze you. He was so glad to be safe.
Yeah, he just wanted to hang out.
But I couldn't do it. It was too much for me. I told Noah, I said, I want so much to care for him, but you're going to have to do it because it's breaking my freaking heart. Just every day I go out there, it's just killing me. So Noah did it. He took over the care of Tacoma, and
Tacoma was my buddy after that. So, and he was like my puppy dog around the ranch. He'd follow me around fixing fences. He was just out of my pocket. Like he was just there. And when it got to the point that it got too bad, it wasn't fair to him anymore. We had to make the call to put him down, and it still chokes me up talking about it.
But we painted him up like a Indian warrior horse. We did the red handprints on his chest, and we
did all the
painted
research
him all up
right?
and braided feathers into his hair. And then they came out and they put him down and we buried him on the property. So that's how we deal with it. The same way you deal with if somebody you loved was going to die. You just love them through it until you can't anymore. And then you hopefully hope that you can give them the best.
He helped me through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that was Noah's Toronto. Tacoma helped Noah heal in the same way that Toronto helped me heal.
Yeah, it was a tough time. I sit out the barn after mucking stalls and just sit there with him with the fans running. We put a mask on him to keep the flies off, you know, of the bad eye, and made him comfortable for as long as we could. He was just such a nice horse. And he was somebody's heart horse. I mean, somebody loved him. And instead of doing the compassionate thing and putting him down, and paying the $300 it would have cost to have him disposed of or taken away, they chose to make $500 and send them to auction. And people ask sometimes why we help horses and not people. That's why. Yeah. We spend enough money on the horses. We could run a halfway house for kids or something of that nature, or help more adults and people. And it's nothing against people. We love people too. An animal, dogs are kind of the same to an extent. They don't have the ability to lie about who they are. You know, if you know what to look for and what to watch for and the signs, they're not like people. They don't have the ability to manipulate that way, or be deceitful. And I think that's probably why we do it for the most part. I mean, you know, with Julie, you know, what Toronto did for Jules and what Tacoma did for me is that I could never repay.
No,
Yes.
it's a debt we can never repay, but we promised them both that we would continue to love other horses in their name. So that's what we're doing. And I was very lucky that last year we met a woman who had 2 horses and she was looking to rehome them. She had cancer and they had never been broke to ride.
She actually reached out to us about a year ago. We were full and told her no. That's been about 2 years now. Yeah.
And they were both in their mid-20s and they were wonderful horses, but they'd never been outside of their barn. They'd never been outside of their paddock. They'd never been loaded in a trailer. They'd never left their property
In 24 years.
And the woman had a spouse that was terribly abusive, and these horses were the thing that got her through that. And now she had cancer and she didn't want anything bad to happen to them. And she asked us if we would please come and take them.
So we went
And
over there and talked to her, and
I told Noah, no, we are not taking any more dang horses on. We cannot breathe. We are financially drowning. And he said, okay, let's just go talk to her and explain the situation and try to
well, she got
help
cancer,
her.
baby. My mom died cancer right before our son was born. So for me, it's one of those things. So we go out there, and she's a little tiny lady, just like my mom was. And she walks out there, she's telling us her story. And they're both appies, both fancy, both papered, some
Gorgeous.
pretty impressive breeding lines. Anyway, their parents both were pretty big show winners here in the Midwest, but it doesn't matter.
And I was being a brat. like normal, because, I'm a brat, in case you haven't noticed. And so I jumped the fence and got in the paddock, and I was going to see if I could get them to do anything spooky, because if they could do anything spooky, I was going to say no. I didn't care. I was going to say no. And I walked out there, and this gorgeous, beautiful, gray, blue-eyed Appaloosa horse came over to me and pushed his head against my forehead, and that was it. I was ruined. We loaded him up less than a month later, and we took him home. And that horse's name is Blue, and he is my heart horse. See, look, I even have a picture of him. He's on my.
She's not lying.
And he follows me like a puppy, just like Toronto did, but he's healthy, and he'll live another 5 or 6 years. And I'm gonna love every second that I can spend with him, because he's a blessing to my life.
Wow.
You still got to do story time, Steve. You want to do
I'm,
stories, so I hope you got it.
I'm gonna have to rehydrate after this show.
I know. No, you guys are truly amazing. And I appreciate the fact that you're real.
Yeah.
We talk to a lot of people, and everybody's real in their own way. We also find that everyone without fail who has shared about animals impacting their life and them turning around to impact others, everyone has had a challenge as a young person, and animals have fixed them. Animals have helped them through it. Animals have provided comfort. And it truly, like you're saying, I mean, you're returning that favor tenfold. And I want to make everyone aware, like you just mentioned, you're drowning financially. You take on these horses truly out of your heart. But tell us how you pay for this. Tell us how people who want to help, maybe people can't have a horse, maybe people have always loved the dream of a horse, but don't have a way where they are right now to have one in their life, but they could help you what you're doing and feel connected to a horse in a different way. You could send them a picture and they can donate to a horse or whatever it is. How do you guys do that? Because it's obvious that, you're pouring your whole life into it. How can others support you in what you're doing?
Well, I think that you hit the nail on the head. I think most rescues, sanctuaries, anybody does horse stuff, it's, as you know, it's not a cheap venture. It's just not to do it right. You know what I mean? So give them the proper vetting and care, all that stuff's expensive. So if you have any rescue or sanctuary, do a little research, make sure it's not a kill pen masquerading. But that's always a big one that gets us. There's a lot of that out there now. So just do a little research, whether it's a 501c3 or not, doesn't matter. Just do your research and make sure you know who's really behind the organization. But as far as that, our biggest thing is feed and vet bills. That's our biggest costs. We have 15 horses right now at the house, 11 big and 4 littles, I think, total. So, you can reach out to that rescue and see who their hay supplier is and donate money, pay off a vet bill. You can buy feed for pickup at your local farm stores or your farm fleets, whatever you might have, fleet farms, that kind of thing. If you want to, we do this, you can sponsor a stall. And so a lot of rescues and places do that. So like, hey, you want to sponsor, like when Dakota was here, we have a quarter horse that's named Surf. She has a stall sponsor. So $1,200 for the stall sponsor for the year. And that takes care of most of her bare necessity type costs. You know what I mean? It doesn't cover it all by any means, but it offsets a lot of what the cost is, day to day for like what we do.
In the last 3 years, Noah and I have spent between $35,000 and $40,000 out of our own pocket yearly to maintain the sanctuary. And then we've been really blessed. We've had a lot of donations that have come in over the years where people have helped us out. We try not to ask for a lot of help because we try to be able to maintain it on our own, simply because of the fact that so many rescues out there are failing. So many people are going under, and we've been very lucky. We've managed to find some really great homes for the horses that we have in our care that are rehomable. That's not all of them, obviously. But like Dakota was a horse that we discussed earlier. Dakota ended up not going home to the girl that we had tried to rescue her for. In the end, she did not have the money to afford her. So after we went through all of that and got her home, she said, I can't take her. And so we were like, I don't know what to do. So out of the blue woodwork, a young man named Devin, who had had the horse for a short period of time. She was a lease horse before she'd gone to auction, and she had been with him the most recently. Reached out to us in the beginning of this year and asked if he could buy her back from us. And we said, no, we don't want you to buy her. Just come and get her and provide her a great home. And so he drove all the way from Wisconsin, and he brought his dad, and they loaded Dakota up, and She was his first barrel horse he ever had. And now he's getting ready to train kids on how to barrel race. And he's using Dakota and he plans on keeping her forever. So
Yeah, he said he made a promise to her when he couldn't afford her no more, that one day he'd get her back. He said he thought it was an empty promise and it never happened.
when he showed up at the farm that day, he's a young kid in his 20s and he started crying and he gave me this big hug and he said, "Thank you for allowing me the opportunity, Julie, to fulfill my word." He said, "I promised this to Dakota a long time ago and I didn't think I'd have a chance." So it was a very good ending to that story. And we've managed to find a couple other really great homes that we've been able to place a few horses with. And they're all thriving. So we've been very blessed with that too. But yeah, like Noah said, vet bills are the biggest expense and feed, obviously.
Yeah, if we want to help, that's the biggest way.
Right.
Our quarter horse that he was talking about just had a big injury and she's been on stall rest for 8 weeks now and the vet bills were astronomical. But some kind soul out there, we posted it on Facebook that we were struggling and we went to pay the bill off and we got our return back and they said it's paid. So we don't know who paid it off. It was anonymous, but we were very blessed.
Yeah, $350 for our vet bill. We had about $1,200 in the Surf's leg injury so far. So every little bit helps. As you know, horses, they are accident prone and borderline suicidal some days, I'd say.
We love her stuff.
With all due respect to the horses, they can, hurt themselves breathing air. But like I said, like Julie said, we try not to ask too much because at the end of the day, this is the responsibility that we chose to take on, not anyone else. And as much as I would like to say it benefits the community, and the community gets something back out of it. You feel bad the person always campaigning with your hand out online.
Help us while we take on more horses. Help us. We can't. It feels bad,
So what do you
Yeah.
guys have local fundraisers or what do you do? You're doing great work and changing. It's not just for the horses, it's the people. Do you have people who come volunteer? Do you reach out in the community?
We do. We're pretty rural. So for us, it's a bit of a cruise if somebody wants to come out. We do have some folks come out every now and then on a regular basis, help muck some stalls, or feed horses or groom horses, things of that nature.
Back when we were doing the farmers market every weekend, we had a volunteer who would attend with us and hold a pony so that we could shuffle people in and out of the line. And one of the ponies that we used is blind, Birdie, and she gets nervous. And if you have a different handler with her, she gets nervous. So that was the pony that she bonded to, and they love each other. So we've been very lucky with the small amount of volunteers that we've had, and we've had people come and help us build things or show up for a day and, hey, what can I do to help out around here? And that's all been very great. We've been very blessed with that. We've done some local fundraising as well. There's a bar here locally that lets you go in and talk to people and they donate money to your cause, and 10% of the drinks for the night come to you. And then we did a bowling fundraiser and a car show. Some guy asked if we could be the people that his car show sponsored. So we did that. And we've done a lot of things and we've been very blessed. Like I said, we feel very blessed to have had the opportunity to be able to work with the horses that we have, to help the horses that we have, to meet the people that we have through doing the work that we're doing. It's been a blessing all the way around. So,
Wow.
I'm speechless.
And you guys, that's an accomplishment.
That doesn't happen a lot. I'm dehydrated now, and
I have to send you a bottle of water.
and speechless. You guys are really extraordinary.
Thank you.
I don't know. I think that anybody's capable of what we do. It's just a matter of having the heart to do it, I guess. So
Well, it's the heart and the dedication and the selflessness to do what you do.
Well, our daughter helps us too. I can't take, our daughter's 15. She does all the waters for every horse on that property every single day. And she also grooms all the horses for us at least once a month. So she's a big help. I mean, we do have that.
Yeah.
So if 1 or 2 or 20 of our listeners want to support your efforts, where can they go? What do they click? Lay it out here. Because
Yeah. Right now, probably easiest way is social media for people to get a hold of us at WonderRidge Equine Sanctuary. You can send Julie or
say
myself.
that slower, Noah. You talk.
Yeah, I apologize. I talked quickly.
Talk slowly. This is about money.
That's why I'm talking fast to you. I'm excited. Like an auctioneer, the faster I talk, the more they donate. No, it's WonderRidge Equine Sanctuary. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much every social media platform. We have some kind of presence there.
TikTok and Facebook are best. Our Instagram's kind of wanting.
Yeah. There's only so many hours in the day.
But is there a way then, do they call you? How do they make a contribution to you?
Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, any of those things. Yes, sir.
We have all that stuff available. So if somebody wanted to reach out, they could reach out via Messenger on Facebook or TikTok, or call us directly. My phone number's listed. It goes right to this handy dandy little phone right here. And we're more than happy to talk to people about just about anything, but always happy to talk to people about donations.
Monetary donations are great. But if you got a strong back and some strong arms, live somewhere in the Quad Cities or around there, want to come help with the horses, by all means, shoot us a message.
I'm telling you right now, shoveling stalls for 15 horses is exhausting. That's a lot of work.
You lose 180 pounds too.
Well, I think it should be rescue and exercise facility, and you issue everybody a shovel and charge them $30 and have them shovel out a stall. I mean,
Noah could be out there like the drill sergeant, and we shovel and throw and shovel and throw.
Scoop and toss, scoop and toss.
And scoop and toss and scoop and toss and pull it to the plow.
It's
you got
working.
it.
It's
Yes, sir.
working.
Yeah, see, we got it all ready to go. Plans in place.
Got it planned.
Well, we could do this for a long time. Robin, thoughts as we leave these wonderful people?
I think we've definitely covered a lot of ground and definitely got my heart. I mean, you guys are truly amazing and appreciate your openness and honesty. And if you're watching or listening today or any day, we'll have this on YouTube and Spotify if it's on your heart as well, to donate whatever you have the heart to donate, time, money, effort. Probably not more horses at this point, but anything else, do so. We will post in the show notes how to find you guys, and we look forward to hearing more about what you're doing in the future. This has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for having us today.
Yeah, you guys have done so much for us in the video and, the monetary donation for Dakota's rescue and all that stuff. We're just super appreciative of everything.
Well, you deserve it, and you deserve much, much more with what you've done. I mean, you are so much an example of what Robin and I want to focus on, because you were changed by animals. Animals are being changed by you. And
other people too are being impacted by what you're doing. Some of these full circle stories are absolutely incredible and prove how small the world really is, right? And if you're really walking out your passion and following your heart, it's incredible what you can do. And so thank you for making an impact in your part of the world. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Julie, Noah, thank you very much. Robin, it's always a surprise. We never know what we're getting into when we start this. So thanks for being my partner.
Absolutely. It's always amazing, incredible, and we love it. And we appreciate all of you, Noah and Julie and Steve. It's always a blast. So we'll see you all next week, same time, same channel, for another amazing episode.
Next episode on The View from the Summit. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you next week, and who knows? See you then. Bye.
This program is made possible by Summit Animal Health. If you have a dog, cat, or horse with mobility issues, Summit Animal Health has the all-natural, drug-free solution that comes with a satisfaction guarantee. Summit Animal Health products are used by Olympic gold medal equestrians, leading rodeo stars, professional dog trainers and handlers, and people just like you. Whether working companion or couch potato, Summit Animal Health can keep them moving. Check them out online at summitanimals.com. New to Summit? Use the code VIEW15 and receive 15% off your initial order. We'll see you next week for another View from the Summit.